Get or wrap your head around something to supersize and grow your business. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, and our idiom for today is get your head around. And I've heard it more often as wrap your head around something than I have get your head around, or more like get your act together. But to wrap your head around is to understand something difficult. Now, this idiom became really popular in the 1970s, and a lot of people think it's from the 1970s, but it actually showed up in a boys magazine. I think it was a British boys magazine called Gem on July 15th in 1920. So it'd really been around for a long, long time before people started to use it for different applications, meaning to understand something challenging or difficult, or to accept something that was really challenging or hard to accept. Management, I've got a lot of experience with accepting difficult situations and changes and things, right? You know, management changes. When I was in corporate America, a lot of times the upper echelon of the organization would come up with these ideas, these great, brilliant ideas to improve something or change something in the operational part of the business. And since I was in operations and quality and things, a lot of times that was part of my responsibility, was to implement those changes. And before I could implement those changes, I had to wrap my head around what was in it for the people I was presenting the changes to, because leadership understood what was in it for them. The company always knew what was in it for them to make these changes, but in order to present it and make it a win-win for everybody and possible to actually implement on all levels of the organization, required that I first wrap my head around it and understand it so I could communicate that to other people. It's hard for us to wrap our head around things that are challenging, difficult to understand. To me, it's almost impossible still to wrap my head around politics and what causes people to behave and do certain things that just make no sense to me. And that's a personal thing. The economy. There's a lot of things in the economy that just blow my mind. There's a lot of things in statistics and the way things are presented in communication and media that I just can't wrap my head around, because I know that there's an unethical undercurrent or component to it, and I don't even want to wrap my head around those things. But how can we go about understanding difficult situations and difficult things? I'm going to grab my magnifying glass, because I was like, well, how do I do this? And what are some tips and challenges and things that we can do to actually understand difficult concepts and wrap our head around things? I have a hard time wrapping my head around physics, which is mind-boggling to me, because chemistry and engineering and things come really easy, and math and complicated mathematics and things come easy for me. But physics, the physical world, is a little bit more challenging for me. So how do we go about understanding things that can be difficult, can be challenging, can be difficult to accept or understand? There are a lot of things that happen in our lives and in our businesses that we have zero control over, and we have to wrap our head around it's okay to not be able to control everything. We can still create the life and the businesses that we want. So one of the things I do is I am always learning. I'm always learning, reading, growing, looking for more information, because the broader my depth of information and inputs, the easier it is for me to understand complex things and see that I see the world one way, but everybody else on the planet sees the world in a different way, a slightly different way, based on our experiences, based on our exposure, based on all kinds of things. Try and solve problems more quickly. The faster I solve problems, the faster I jump from problem focus to solution focus, the easier it is for me to understand what's possible and solve problems for my business and in other areas of my life as well. I ask questions, and I look for the answers to those questions. I look for experts that I can model and learn from. I ask people, that's the next tip, is ask qualified people that have dealt with this situation before, what have they done, or read about what they've done, or Google. Nowadays, with the internet, we all have brilliance at our fingertips, but we also have to think for ourselves and filter the information that we get off the internet, because the internet, just like the media and everything else, has its own way of doing things. And we have to remember that when I search something, I get different results than when you search something, because the algorithms are designed to feed us information that they think they want us to see. Boy, that's an interesting concept, isn't it? Ask yourself, what's the best thing that can happen? Now, it's easy to think about, what is the worst thing that can happen? Oh my God, the sky is falling. But isn't it a better question to say, well, what is the best that can happen in this situation? And believe me, I had to do that a lot when I was implementing other people's decisions. I don't have a problem implementing and explaining my own choices, my own decisions, but I did have some challenges implementing it and even understanding some of the reasons my bosses requested that we do things, right? Especially if they were not setting the example and doing that same thing themselves. Yeah, I think of tardiness and disciplinary type procedure things with respect to that. And consider your current mindset and your current beliefs, because I think part of our mindset is our beliefs and our thought patterns, and a lot of those are subconscious and we don't even know we have them. But those are some of the ways I wrap. The other thing I do is I don't just go to one source. If I have a problem or a challenge or something I'm trying to understand, I will seek out a lot of different resources, probably more than is necessary or more than a lot than most people would even consider. But I find that if I get a perspective from a lot of different other experts and sources, then I can think and I can draw conclusions and I can understand a topic or a difficult thing or the way things are currently. And just because things are a certain way doesn't mean they have to stay that way. So, and then that's a belief, right? That's a belief of mine that everything can be improved on. So love to know your experience with wrapping your head around something. I never realized how cozy wraps are. Wrapping or getting your head around something or understanding difficult situations. Love to know how you go about it and what works best for you. Share with me in the comments below, please, so we can learn from one another. And I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? And how might you use it in your business right now? All right, have a great day.